Hey guys, Cheesehead Logic here for Quantic Gaming with another tutorial for you guys. Today's topic is going to be 2 Rax Opener for TvZ. For those that know, this is definitely one of my favorite builds. If you're watching my stream, you see it quite a bit. I think it's absolutely fantastic, one of my favorites. I kind of reference it to as, you know, my Mona Lisa, my Brett Favre, my Khaleesi, and kind of like my biggest right hook to a Zerg player that I could probably deliver to and knock him out and kind of leave him planted on the ground. So yeah, a little bit of referencing to that. So we're going to look at a few topics here, guys. One, of course, being variations of the 2 racks over time since Wings of Liberty. There's been a lot of them that have been used. We're going to go look into the build order, kind of map placement, and then we're going to look at build order versus computer, but we'll just scrap that and we'll just look at it versus opponent, as it is a lot better to see it in actual game versus a computer or AI. And of course, finally, we'll finish off with responding to Zerg, responding to you. I know that sounds funny, but when these build orders do turn up on YouTube, a lot of them don't talk about how your opponents respond to you and how you should respond to that back, because this is not an all-in. I will repeat that over and over again through this video. This is not an all-in. So let's just look at the variations of 2 racks. Throughout time of Wings of Liberty, we've had the 1111 in base that was very popular at the beginning of Wings of Liberty, that had very close spawning positions, which is very, very effective. There's the 1111 proxy, which we do still see once in a while. The 1112, which is fairly popular on Wings of Liberty towards the end of the run, especially with those 4-player maps with 3 or 2 additional spawns available. The 1212 proxy, which we're going to be covering today. The 1113, which is so damn random sometimes. That should only... As a build order, I don't really like it, but you know, it just, yeah, it happens once in a while. 1214, more of an MKP. That's a very economical 2 Rax opener. But in regards to what we're going to be looking at, as you guys can see, 1111 in base, screw it. Definitely screw it. 1111 proxy, we don't need that because we're going to be doing 1212, which is better economical, slightly, not by much though. 1113, just no, and then 1212 again, like I said, we're going to be looking at that. 1112 is something that I use more in Wings of Liberty, where it was just an 11 racks inside the base as soon as your supply depot finished up, and then a proxy 12 racks a little bit further outside of your base. The 1214 one, if you guys want to look up MKP VODs, he does it quite a bit himself. It's a little bit more economical. You're not exactly really supposed to do a lot of damage. It's just something that allows you to put a little bit of aggression on the Zerg, maybe force some units out, and meanwhile that's happening, he's gonna, you know, just you'll expand. So just kind of in that regards. So let's move on to build order. As you guys can see, hopefully that's fairly clear and legible and readable. Build order starts out fairly simple. 10 supply, as always, for many Terrans. As soon as you put your supply depot down, send an SCV from your mineral line to your first proxy location. As you're sending it across the map, make sure you continue building SCVs, your 11th and your 12th one. Just before your supply depot finishes, make sure to send that building SCV over to the proxy location as well. That will be your second barracks. Stop at 12 SCVs until you get your first and second barracks down. As you can see, 1212. Build 1 SCV, build a second SCV, and then you will stop and wait to gather about 200 minerals, which should time out very well if you're timely with it, where you're going to be able to pop 1 marine and start an orbital right away, 14, 15, just like that. As soon as you start your orbital, 15 supply depot at the wall off, and then at about 305, 315, I would usually suggest with longer maps at 305, 315 at the latest on very short maps, send 2 SCVs from your mineral line to your opponent's natural spawn, so that way they're going to beat up with the rest of your army and SCVs that are heading there as it is. From there, as soon as your second barracks finishes up, you should have simultaneous ability to create 2 marines, a marine from one racks and a marine from the other racks. Don't have 3 in queue total, because you're going to need about 50 minerals to get your SCV out, as well as also drop a mule at the same time. As you guys can see, rally the marines towards the first one that came out. That way it's going to be a lot easier to keep track of your marines. Stay patient too. You don't need to go run over there as quick as you possibly can unless you really feel the need to, you know, kill an overlord, and it's within killing ability too. And as you guys can see, I was talking about earlier, build an SCV and a mule, and then from there freely start producing Marines again. The economy, you're going to notice, is going to flow very smoothly. You're going to be able to afford everything that you need, and that's exactly why I love the 12-12. At 340 or about 3 Marines, depending on how quick you got everything down, start heading towards your opponent's natural spawn with that main chunk of your Marines and 2 SCVs. About 3:54 minutes, right around when you arrive there, put down your first bunker. Make sure you don't cut SCVs. Make sure you don't do anything too funky to throw yourself off. And then when you can afford it, put down a second bunker as well. Around 24:25 supply, build your third supply depot at the wall off to finish to wall off completely. That way you don't get caught off by a counterattack or supply block yourself. And as you guys can see at the bottom, do your best not to cut workers after your orbital is finished. Remember, this is not an all-in. I swear I get so frustrated when there's actually people that claim this is an all-in. No, this is just a very aggressive opener that, it could actually kill your opponent, but at the same time, it is transitionable from. You're going to be able to transition into a macro game if so neato. So there is the build order. Let's go into game and actually take a look at it. So here we go. We're going to be starting down here at the bottom left side. We're going to be looking at my vision specifically. As you guys can see, nothing really too crazy. We will try to go a little bit slow. 6th SCV, 7th SCV is underway. I mean 8th SCV, I apologize. And there we go. Right when you're at 9 out of 10 supply, you're building an SCV. Make sure to send it over here towards your wall off location. Very simple. Again, this is kind of a little bit more for some of the newer players that don't know exactly where to place everything. So we're going to wall off, start the wall off right there. Put our supply depot down and continue building SCVs. As soon as we put the supply depot down, send 1 SCV from our mineral line to the first proxy location. And while we're continuing to build SCVs, we're already kind of queued up our SCV that's building our supply depot to head over there as well as soon as it's finished up. We've hotkeyed our command center 5, 1 on our first SCV, 2 on our second SCV that's heading over there. So again, look at that. I stopped at 12-12. I'm not building any more SCVs. I'm getting my economy necessary to build a barracks, and bam, look at that, how that works out just fine. Right at about 150 minerals, we just arrived. So there's our first barracks. Again, not continuing to build any additional SCVs yet. We're going to put down our second barracks as well. And there it is. There we go. So we're going to hotkey them on 4, and now when we got 50 minerals, we're going to start producing SCVs again. As you guys can see, I am using, at the moment, hotkeys as well, so I don't always just look back. You're going to build 2 SCVs. Your first one is underway. Queue up your second one as well, so you don't have to worry too much about it. I'm going to be very cautious just to make sure I don't do anything too crazy. But yeah, as you can see now, I'm just kind of getting my minerals. I'm not queuing up any additional SCVs after that. I'm going to wait till I have about 200 minerals, which is going to time out well because that's when the first barracks will finish. So first barracks finishes, queue up a marine, and you're going to have 150 minerals right away for an orbital command. Now with your next 100 minerals, you're going to send an SCV to build the wall. I know this is kind of was a little bit weird because he was scouting out, finding out what I was doing. No big deal. So we're going to grab 2 workers, and we're going to send them across the map. About 315, like I said, about at the latest. Neoplanet S is a little bit of a shorter map in regards to walking distance. And we queue up 2 Marines. And then I think I might have queued up 3 accidentally, but there we go. SCV and a mule. We're dropping it, and now we're just kind of waiting until we get everything we need. He's trying to find out where we're at, so no big deal. Don't worry, don't panic. Unless he brings his whole army, you don't have to freak out too much about that. So 3 Marines, 340, we're going to go. Because it's such a close proxy location, that time can be a little bit adjusted, and once you find a comfort for it as well. We're putting our first bunker down, and like I said, with our next 100, we're going to put a second bunker down. We're not cutting Marines, we're not cutting SCVs. As you see, we keep building more and more. And now it just becomes kind of a little bit of a game of paying attention of what's going on the map. Nothing really too crazy. I might as well take down the timer as well. We're just continuously producing Marines. And I mean, this is just about the most simplistic version of it that I could honestly think of. So, bunker finishes up. He's building a spawn on the back. We're continuing to produce a few additional Marines to send over there to put in the bunkers. After we feel confident enough with that, we're going to send our two barracks back. We have our SCVs here on repair, all 4 of them. Going to do a little bit of harass. And from here, he hasn't really tried to break it or anything, a lot aside to you losing 2 drones, but that's no big deal. Just make sure to keep your bunkers alive. And you know, after a while he gets a little bit of a Ling Queen army, you might not really want to hop them out too overconfidently. That could become a pretty big problem. So we eventually did put our supply depot down at about 25, and we're just going to transition standard. We're going to put a command center once we have 400 minerals, and then start adding our gases as well. And there we go, GG. I should be ashamed that I executed a build so well. Hell no, never. Never ever. So that's just kind of the simple gist of the 2 racks. Again, this whole tutorial is more of like an anatomy of the 2 racks. That way you guys get a really good feel for it, feel very confident when you use it, and actually can be used as one of your main weapons versus Zerg, because for Zergs, as I always say, one of their keys to victory is through the macro end of the game. The 2 racks really can deny that, and it makes it a lot easier for you to play against them. Now, things we don't always see or talk about in tutorial videos, we're going to cover spawn locations. And there it is. We're going to start off first of all with Derelict. And as you guys can see, I kind of marked the spawn location where you spawn and where you should place the 2 barracks. As you see, there's Derelict, there's where your 2 barracks are going to be placed on the right side. And this is for the most part also accounting for overlords, because imagine if you're, say, from the red spawn over here and you start with an overlord, you're going to send it straight across for the most part, because it's going to get to your opponent's base on time without getting killed. So this is basically areas where you're going to avoid and dodge overlords. So there's for Derelict. Gonna put that away. Next we have Belshire Vestige. So again, marked over here, and we'll see it in a couple replays as well where I place them. You guys will get a little bit of a better feel for it. Spawn on the bottom right. You're gonna place it almost vertical, just outside of the vision of the tower. Same thing with the green spawn location. As we move on to Akalon Flats, and I'm trying to use the current map pool that we have currently with the green. Spawning here down at the bottom right, you're going to put them on the left side, because typically with an overlord that's going to get sent almost straight across or a little bit to the right side of your natural. Rarely will you have an occasion where say the top left spawn location is going to head right to your spawn location with an overlord. If that happens, you might actually get a chance to pick off a free overlord, and honestly sometimes even a second overlord gets sent over there and you get a free overlord to kill, which is kind of nice. Whirlwind! Don't do it, damn it. I don't know how many times I have to tell Terrans, just don't do it. This is not really a good map for it unless you're a professional and have a specific sniping reason to do it. Just don't. It's an all spawn map, so don't take your chances, and it's a bigger walk than almost any other map, so don't do it. Don't do it. It's easy to get scouted out for too as well, since typically the spawning location, the proxy location would be in the middle of the map by the watchtower, and a lot of people do like to go through the watchtower right away to the cross position, so just don't. Neoplanet S, as we just saw in that initial replay, that start down at the bottom left, you can see by the X's. Same thing with the green right over here. And it's kind of funny because the location is so goddamn obnoxiously close to the spawn location. And and it's funny, but you feel like you're living a very dangerous life and on the edge. But the first overlord almost 9 times, almost 99 times out of 10 is going to get sent right to your natural straight across. So it's going to completely dodge your 2 racks. And finally, just with the current map pool, because Clotus Meyer got taken out, and I don't play on Xeris Prime, and that's going to get taken out as well. This is Star Station. Now this one's tricky. I personally would not suggest it on this map completely. But because it is cross positions, it does become a little bit more viable. As you guys can see, kind of follow the chart over here. Because it's not 100% symmetrical in regards to what's in the middle, you're going to have to place them in certain locations to dodge the overlord. And because so many games I've seen Zergs decide to send overlords in whichever different way they want to, there's no typical route for an overlord to go through on this map. So this is kind of just the general area that you might want to test out with every location that you proxy your racks is on Star Station. So that's again just looking at some of the proxy locations in regards to where you want to place them. We are now going to move on to responses. You guys saw the build, you guys saw the spawn location. Now comes the tricky part where, you know, you look at a build on YouTube or in a game and then you do it yourself and then something happens way different than the game and you're asking yourself, what the heck do I do and how do I transition to it? Well, these are probably the 6 typical responses to Zergs to responding to you. So yeah, so you gotta know them better than they know you in a sense. First is sometimes it happens they just send a very heavy drone count like right away at defending your initial bunker. They're gonna pull almost their whole entire drone line right at you. Now what you need to do there is focus on your micro and kind of deal with the focus on the micro and dealing with damage because I mean in general because he's not mining anything. He's not gathering any minerals. He's basically killing off his economy to try to fend this off completely. And if you could deal some damage, kill off a few drones, delay his mining for a while, you're going to have a fairly good success rate as long as you just stay very patient. Zergs, then number 2 typical one is Zergs that wait for Lings and then attack with Ling drone. Just kind of focus on your micro, dealing the damage and getting Marines in bunkers and just kind of get yourself ready mentally to play a little bit of macro. We're going to go into replay really quick and check that out as well. Where is it at? Oh, there it is. Somebody's not going to be happy with this replay. And that man is going to be Mr. Bitter, unfortunately. There we go, restarting it a little bit. So again, we saw the build overall, just kind of first of all through the order. We're going to go through it a little bit quicker, just to the point where in regards to response. So put down our 10 racks, we send an SCV to the proxy location. Now we're sending a second SCV to the proxy location as well. Going through. Put down our supply, send our 2 SCVs, build an SCV, drop the mule, and here we go. This is where it gets interesting. So here comes Mr. Bitter's response. He actually pulled drones. This is what a lot of people do, pro players try to do to intercept this, but you know, was a little bit out of position, and I already have 3 Marines. And as you see, starting to put down my first bunker, but I'm being very cautious because he's got a lot of drones down here. You got to be very sort of focused on your micro a little bit versus the macro end of the game to make sure you don't get surrounded or surprised by anything. So here we go. Finally, now he's going to have Lings out. He's trying to send drones, but this is a little bit awkward timing on his part. He's going to lose 1, 2, 3, I think. Yeah, 3, I think 4 drones, 5 drones. So he loses about 5 drones, kind of puts himself in a little bit of a crappy position in a sense. I'm going to micro against the Lings, make sure I don't lose to them. Still have 5 Marines alive after that, so that's not too bad. He did kill off all my SCVs, that's no big deal. We're just going to make sure we micro against whatever he's got. A reminder, if he pulls his drones very early, he's not investing into his economy, so he's not going to be able to produce very well. As we see, there's a few more Lings coming out, but even the Queen goes down. Marines microing, and now they're going to go right for the bunker. Mr. Bitter's going to have a little bit of a weird response to this in regards to what he's going to do. He's going to try to go for a very hard counterattack, but as long as you're eventually building a wall off, you should be safe against slow Lings. Rarely is there a case where slow Lings are going to beat you, unless it's like a 10 pool or a 6 pool where they're going to be able to get in regards to that. So we just got into our bunker. We're playing standard. We got 400 minerals. We're going to place our command center down because we know he's already spent a lot of minerals into his economy versus gas or some kind of counter all in against me. And then after that we will get the gases. And we see there's some Lings heading across the map. We're not going to worry too much about it. Just keep pressure on the front. We know we could just wall off, and oh, hey, who is that? That is Mr. Bitter showing up right to our front door. We're going to put a barracks down because it's going to take a little bit too long to eventually... Well, I mean, no, never mind. I'm sorry. We just continue repairing. We're sending our barracks down. We know that with what he's got, we could just repair against all of this. So Hatch goes down. He's down all of his 15 supplies across the map, and basically at that point, it is GG. Not gonna have to really watch too much more of it, and there it is. Well played coming out from him. So that's kind of just a standard version of them trying to defend in regards to that first portion. That whole bring all your drones and Lings across the map wouldn't exactly suggest that. Let's see where we go into a standard transition. There we go, standard CC gas replay. This was a game that went into a very long macro game that I played a few days ago. So let's pull that up. We'll again just kind of go really quick through the first initial portions, make sure to put it on our vision. And there we go, proxy location like we had noted earlier. Make sure we get everything right. There we go. Now, this was one of those scenarios where I talked about don't get over hasty unless you have an opportunity to kill an overlord. I am kind of delaying my timing when I go over to him, but if I could pick an overlord off, that's a big help to me because now he's supply block, he's not going to be able to build it as much as he might want to. It doesn't mean I'm completely off on my timing yet because look at that, it's still about only 5 StarCraft seconds ahead of 4 minutes. For what I delayed myself, that's not too bad. I'm going to put down my second bunker, continue producing. He's going to try to defend this for a second. I'm not sure if he tries to bring out the whole boatload here in just a little bit, and it looks like he doesn't. Sorry, some of these replays I can't remember everything going on, but this game, kind of a slight mistake. I did supply block myself minorly. I need to make sure I look back. Make sure I get that third supply depot up because 27 out of 27 is not always the best number to stick yourself at. And there we go. See, there's kind of a little bit of supply block. I do put down a gas just to spend some money. But overall, when you see a Zerg that, you know, is building a spine crawler, is going to be mining from his natural hatch, he's not really sacrificing his hatch, so you can almost play fairly standard. And as you can see with the 400 minerals, I'm going to put down a command center fairly quick myself as well. And from there, put down a second gas, make sure I just micro. Eventually the hatch got taken down, and then once I feel comfortable, send my barracks home. And that's just kind of a general gist of a sort of a standard transition. Now, as we look at eventually Zerg's kind of that way for Ling or Ling Spines, Ling Queen, Spine, and then at that point you want to get Marines in your bunker, keep all 4 SCVs there. And this is specific if they don't really try to hardcore defend you, like initially at first where they try to push you off before you even get the 2 bunkers finished off. This is a kind of a situation where if they just wait patiently and then try to break you. Where was that bad boy at? I think that was right here. I think that was this game. We're going to pull that up. So yeah, kind of during this whole entire time, guys, reminder, if you guys got any questions, feel free to follow me on Twitter at QuanticCHL, as well as follow the Quantic's YouTube, Quantic Pro, for all these tutorials. In the future, I will be making sure that they're all hopefully uploaded to there. Now, we'll speed up through the initial portions. Just make sure not to bore you guys too much with some of this stuff. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Put down everything else. Speed through, speed through, speed through. Okay. So here we go. Hatch first, pool, and then this is one of those games where he waits to defend. Gonna get an opportunity to get my second bunker. You gotta pay attention very carefully that he doesn't just completely throw away the hatch. You gotta be very attentive to what he's doing. But at the moment, it looks like he still might be mining from it until you see actual units start heading. Yeah, and there we go. Until you start to see units heading actually up that ramp, for the most part, it looks like he's gonna not transition as quick as he possibly can. And I'm just kind of cautiously getting a first gas. And bunker finishes up. As soon as I get about 7 Marines, I'm going to send both my barracks home. I'm also building a supply depot 25, getting my second gas as well during this whole entire time. Loading the bunker, because I do feel like he might not completely defend it at this point, I'm going to send 2 SCVs back home. And sending SCVs home is more of a decision on your part once you find a comfort for it. If you feel that you're going to get harassed very hard and he's just sacrificing a hatch, send him home earlier. If you think he's going to try to break out very soon, then keep him there to help out with all the repairs necessary. So hatch goes down. Nothing really too crazy. We're going to speed up a little bit through. And we're going to keep our bunkers there, though, because you don't want to just give up the location. Even though you did kill it off, you don't want to just let him freely take his spawn again. You do want to, again, sometimes want to bring your Marines back with your SCVs, but this is delaying him so much, which is going to force him into more of an aggressive attack. And so we're going to bring all our SCVs that we had back. We're going to transition, with our gas, build a factory, and put a reactor on one of the barracks. It should time out well. And here we go. Now he's going to try to break out. Now sometimes Zergs do just run by with links to go for a bailing bust, but he's actually trying to break the bunker so you could retake his expansion. This I wouldn't suggest for many Zergs, but if it happens, that's great for you, because all you need to do is just micro against it and keep as many units as you possibly can alive. The point of all of this is just to delay him as much as possible. Switch over your factory onto your reactor, start producing Hellions just to make sure you cover all of your bases to not get caught by lings or banelings or anything of that nature, as well as maybe produce Marauders just in case there's roaches that are going to be the follow-up. And from there, just kind of, you could just play standard. As you can see, I'm just building necessary units to play against this. He pokes up just to check out what's going on, sees the Hellion, and probably doesn't want to really mess with this. Put down a bunker at the front, and put down my third CC. So basically you just kind of transition to in a very standard-esque game. That's one of those scenarios where if he tries to break out and you play it very smart, you're going to delay your opponent's natural and going to delay his economy, as well as force him to waste a lot of units trying to break out. Number 4 on there, Zerg sacrifices the hatchery equals basically gases right away, like right now. There's been times where bad stuff happens where if you don't transition well, you're going to lose very, very quick. So, let's pop a game. Oops, that's the same one. Hold on just a second. We got the same game. Hoping I got all the right replays I needed for this. There it is. Okay. Well, I guess I'll show you what happens if you don't get your gases right away. I think this is the replay why I highlighted this one. Okay. So let's bring it up. See, this is kind of what happens if you don't transition well and don't react well. And this kind of goes also in regards to not only a hatch sacrifice, but also a scenario where they just go pull first opener. So we're going to go through the standard spots on Akalon Flats. There it goes. This guy tries to spoil me some Game of Thrones when I already watched it, so haha. Joke's on him for the time being. Now, we're going to... Oh, he actually does put down the hatch. Okay, never mind. So he puts down the hatch, he finishes it, but he's going to completely sacrifice it. He's not going to do anything to really defend it. At that point, I need to make sure I realize it, but, you know, I don't. I keep investing into everything else I need, put down my supply depot, and I'm not putting down my gases. I already have the economy necessary to put down my gases, but I still didn't do it quick enough, and I needed to send my barracks as soon as I had 7 Marines out versus trying to get that 8th and 9th one out as well. He's already got speed finishing up, he's got lings, and this is kind of what happens when, if you don't realize that he's just sacrificing the hatch, you typically want to put the second bunker into more of a better proximity, where it's even. You might want to put your bunker more over here, that way it sort of contains him or at least does a little bit of damage in case his lings decide to run by, because you know what, we don't see anything. And you know what we're not going to see? We're not going to see him run by. So as this replay's going through, oops, what do we see? We barely see him run by, barely, and at that point I already know I'm not going to have any necessary defenses for it. I try to get everything back in time, put down a factory, but you know, it's just not going to be the case. I'm trying to bring SCVs to the front to help defend, and basically if I transition a little bit sooner, brought defenses sooner back, I might have had a slight opportunity. He did react fairly quick, but to the point where he decided I don't have a good chance of winning this game. He breaks on through and just starts kind of killing all my economy, killing everything that I got. Fairly even in supply, but he's got more army value, and there we go, just sacks most of my economy. And that was GG in that regards. So that's kind of what could happen in a worst comes worst situation. And as you guys can see, I kind of noted it. If you see Zerg sacrifice hatcher, you note it. Gases right away on both accounts. Plays bunkers and then kind of an uneven contain. Especially if he's got no hatch. You notice he has no hatch at all. Put them directly even. Kind of going back to the replay in a sense. If you notice that he's got no hatch at all, you're going to put them proximately like even, so you can block him off a tiny bit or at least contain him in a sense. That's what you're aiming for. And 6, I mean, finally, hell, if Deserve BMs you and Rage quits, you probably did something right. Be happy, smile, you executed your 2 racks correctly. That is gonna do it for me, and hopefully you guys did enjoy this tutorial. I would appreciate some commentary to let me know what you guys think about it. Hopefully it went a little bit more in depth, like gave you guys a little bit more insight. As for me, that's going to do it. And if you guys want to follow me on Twitter, at QuanticCHL, I'll try to pull it up right here. Bam, there it is right there, QuanticCHL, so be sure to follow. And be sure to also follow the Quantic YouTube. It is youtube.com/QuanticPro if I'm not mistaken. And we'll be uploading videos to there for more tutorials and news as well. Other than that, stay classy guys and keep hitting that find match button.